Hello guys, today I'm excited to present you my new online course on Laravel Daily video course about Cursor AI editor. I've been working with it for the last 6 months or so, last month as primary editor, and I have a lot of insights, advice, and just wanted to demonstrate you the main things. This course is for those who haven't started with Cursor or tried it really passively. In 1 hour of video, I will show you Cursor in action, and this is exactly what you will see in this YouTube video, as typically I release some of the videos for free here on YouTube. So in case of this course, it will be first 4 videos combined into one YouTube video to convince you to try to use Cursor. You will actually see what it does and what are the use cases of how typically people use it in my experience. But if you want to go deeper in the course, I will talk about choosing LLMs, how to work with agent, what are Cursor rules, so how do you, for example, explain to Cursor that you need Laravel 12 project and kind of force it to use the latest syntax. Also, we'll talk about the new thing called MCP and one of the most popular MCPs, then pro tips, and recently shot videos about advanced usage, about 2 tools on top of Cursor, which is Taskmaster and CodeRabbit. I expect this course to be updated pretty regularly because AI things change massively and with blazing speed, so I will likely have to reshoot the full course in 6 months or so, or maybe even faster, who knows. But for now, in summer 2025, I became a pretty big fan of Cursor, and I want to show it in this course. And in this YouTube video, let me show you Cursor in action. The link to the full course will be, as usual, in the description below. Let me start this course from demonstration of Cursor in action. I see 3 types of use cases how people use Cursor. So for example, here I am in my new Laravel project, totally fresh, and I've generated migration, model, factory, and seed. And first usage, let me show you Cursor tab in action. So without any prompts, without any models, you can achieve something like this. Let's open that migration. So tasks table, then I put the cursor here, I hit enter, and I'm immediately greeted with suggestion of the next line. I hit tab, and then another set of suggestions. Would you like those fields? And if I hit tab, I will approve all of them. But in many cases, in my personal experience, I hit tab, but then edit something. So for example, in this case, foreign ID to user ID makes sense, but project ID, we don't have project model. So let's hit tab and then edit it out for now. And then we'll continue working. And the next thing I would do is fillables in the model. So we open task model and see that tab to jump here. So immediately after I open the file, I hit tab just to jump where it expects me to start typing, and if I start typing, or in fact just hit enter, look what happens. It is suggesting fillables from the same fields that it had just generated in the migration, including the relationship. But it doesn't suggest the project relationship anymore because I rejected that project ID. So it has context about what has been done just now, and it predicts what you may do next, sometimes with scary accurate precision. And one of the goals of the team, I've heard them saying that on podcasts, so you would go as much as possible by just hitting tab and enter without really typing the code. So we hit tab to fill in those fillables. Then we can continue the same with task factory. Tab to jump here, suggest the fields. In this case, it is suggesting project ID. So it's not 100% accurate, as any AI isn't. Also, I prefer fake instead of this faker, the helper method. And later in this course, we'll talk about Cursor rules, where you can tell your personal preferences to Cursor, how it should generate the code with your personal guidelines. So let's hit tab. Also now, tab to next move, it suggests to add models in the use section. It doesn't do that automatically. That's the difference from, for example, PHP Storm. And in this case, we don't have that project model. But for now, I will not delete that. I want to show you something else instead. See at the bottom, tab to task PHP. So what Cursor introduced pretty recently, roughly a month ago, is ability to tap between the files, not just in the same file. So let's see what it would suggest if I hit tab to jump here. It is suggesting that I would just continue with the model, so it doesn't have any code suggestions, just predicts the next place where I would likely add the code. The second case for using cursor is much more often discussed is agent. So you hit Command I, and on the right side you can write a prompt and it would generate the code for you. We will talk about agent in more detail later in this course, so I will explain all that context and agent choice and model choice, but for now let's stick with the defaults and I will use this prompt for demonstration. Very simple prompt without too much detail. Create 2 models and 2 migrations for products and categories. Let's just launch and see what happens. It will generate the code. Sometimes it will prompt for something, so it's thinking and thoughts for 4 seconds, listed items, so it's checking the structure of the project, and then from time to time it would ask you to accept to run something. For example, make model category with migration, then make model product with migration, and then after the files are generated with artisan commands, it will start actually generating the code inside. I will deliberately not make any pauses in this video. I just want you to see that in action. So it thought, read, thought again. This is Claude for Sonnet model. Maybe other models would look a bit differently, and you have to keep up actually just reading that. But for now, perfect. It is understanding the structure and it starts generating the files, and the file changes immediately appear in this part. So let's close the sidebar so you would see them in full. So it generated what categories, still generating ... which means it hasn't finished yet. Now it works on the category model, so finishing the fillable, you can expand here. So it also generated parent and children and active and scope. Wow, I didn't ask for that, but since I provided like for typical eShop, probably it gets more deeper than just a few columns. And I guess that's it. It tells me to run PHP Artisan Migrate, and this will be our ultimate test. Will it work? Running migration, all good. So thought, categories, models, then it writes the summary for you, and in this case it one-shotted the result without any changes needed. Sometimes it fails in one of those steps. For example, migration fails for some foreign key missing or something like that, then it tries to fix it itself, or you can reprompt it for changes. Let's take a look at the results. Let's close that Command I or Control I if you're on Windows agent sidebar, and this is the result. So categories, so it includes foreign keys to parent ID for multi-category hierarchy. I didn't ask for that, but it assumes that eShops should have that. Then it has index for probably typical fields to query by, and then you can accept the file or go 1 or 2. So 2 changes and also 1 out of 4 files. So let's go to another file, which is products, and this is the foreign key to category and more fields and more products. Usually in my experience, if I ask it to generate something, I accept kind of 80% roughly, and then I do manual changes. Let's take a look at models. This is the category. It suggests casts right away, and you saw that already, a lot of relationships and scopes right away. And for product, also fillables, also casts, and also relationships with more scope, including formatting of the price. Again, you will not need it as is, but the goal here is to prompt it with as many details as possible what you actually want. If you don't specify that, it comes up with something. It always does. So prompting is the way to go to correctly and effectively use agent, and we'll talk about that in the future videos. In this video, I just wanted to demonstrate the agent in action for a simple scenario of generating models and migrations. And the last use case for a cursor, kind of the third in between the tabs and agents, there's a thing called, they used to call it Command K or Control K for Windows. It's basically inline editing. So if you don't like a specific part of your code, you can ask it to refactor it. For example, I don't like casts as a variable. In latest Laravel versions, they prefer the method casts. So here it is, quick edit. You can click quick edit and write a prompt. In this case, it's choosing the model Claude 3.7 Sonnet, transform to casts as a method. Like this, hit enter, and we'll wait for a few seconds, and it is transformed, and you can accept or reject it like this. And then the change is applied. Also, you can hit Command K to generate something. It often suggests some code, but let's hit escape. Let's click Ctrl K or Command K, and let's write booted method with slug auto generated from name on created, something like that. Let's see if it generates that booted method successfully. Yep, it was something that I envisioned, but also let's add a follow-up. I don't like the str, I like the helper. Use str helper instead of full class, and let's see if it does it the way that I want. Yep, correct. So in 2 prompts, it generated what I wanted from prompt. And this is the difference from so-called vibe coding. You actually need to know what you're doing, how to prompt. So my prompts are pretty technical because I know that the method should be booted, that I prefer str helper class, and that it even exists in Laravel. So to get quality code, you still need to be a developer. Let's accept that one. So yeah, I guess just from this demonstration, you could skip the rest of the course, go to Cursor and try it out on your projects. But of course, the course is not over, it's just the beginning. I will explain more details because you need to know which model is better, how can you make the code more appropriate to your project, how to get the latest Laravel versions to be generated, and stuff like that. So let's continue with more details about Cursor. In this video, I want to show you how Cursor sometimes helps me to help you guys. So while preparing for this course, I thought of 3 options how people use Cursor. Usually it's tab, agent, and inline edit, but I almost forgot the 4th one, very important, debugging. So let me show you a real story how I answered an email and debugged a real problem without even knowing which file is it in. So I received this email. Filament project consuming terribly large memory usage. And I don't often help in debugging because it takes time, but here I felt it was something easy, probably some configuration issue, which can be probably a good topic for video on YouTube or in some course. So I agreed to help. Basically, the main problem is this down below. The project is taking up 121 megabytes of memory, RAM, and causing application to load terribly slow, no longer acceptable for users. And that person gave me the access to the repository, and I cloned it down and reproduced the actual issue. So now as I'm shooting this video, the memory is not 121, it's 14, probably because of some caching, but it was indeed 121 initially. And this is on Filament login form. I intentionally showed just the form without giving too much details away about what project is about. But the problem actually was not Filament, because the same happened on the main homepage. So on the homepage, which is basically empty, there's one more image above which I don't want to show, same 14 megabytes and almost a second to load these texts. Something was really wrong in the configuration, and at first I thought it was configuration with person's servers, something overloading the server, but since I reproduced the same thing locally on my powerful MacBook Pro with default.env from Laravel, there was something in the code, not in the server configuration. And I spent roughly 10 minutes researching config.env, and I haven't found anything obvious. Then I asked Cursor. And this is where we get back to this screenshot. I explained the problem in my own words and attached the image from Laravel debug bar. And this is an example how you need to collaborate with Cursor, with LLM, because it may not produce the exact solution right away. So the result came not from the first prompt. Let me show you all the process. So it is thinking, found the issue, looking at the code. In the dashboard filter of Filament, it suggests to add more filtering instead of province all, which is a good suggestion in itself, but we don't really load the dashboard. The problem happens even before the dashboard, so this probably needs fixing anyway. Then Cursor suggests to look at configuration, which is exactly what I thought. Maybe something with PHP FPM, or maybe something in the service providers. And finally, Claude concludes that issue is probably in server configuration, PHP memory settings, or something like that. But then I decided to ask again. I tried on 2 different servers and issue is still the same, so it's not server configuration, and the homepage in bold, in caps lock, and I specifically tell it that it's outside of Filament, that its regular Laravel homepage loads for so long. And then the second thought process time, found several potential issues. It's checking helper files, and then in caps lock, bingo. I actually love how LLMs sometimes try to sound human with emotions, and look what it has found. In Composer.json, there are multiple heavy icon packages loaded on every request. Then it explains the problem that icon packages contain thousands of SVG icons, which are loaded into memory. Solution: either remove those packages, or at least the ones that you don't actually use, or, for example, option disable auto-discovery of components, which is exactly what I tried. So if we go to config blade icons, I changed disabled false to disabled true. And now if we reload that homepage, see 53 milliseconds and 2 megs of RAM instead of 14 megs and almost a second. So yeah, the problem was indeed in the icon packages, which I kind of overlooked, and Cursor helped me to debug that issue and pinpoint exactly the options for solutions, not from the first prompt, but I was persistent in explaining the situation, and then it helped me to help the email author. So yeah, if you have some weird bug or performance issues and you're not even sure which file is related to the issue, you can just ask Cursor explaining the situation in your own words, and it will at least try to help. It may not succeed, but still it's one use case of using Cursor, not just for generating code or fixing some specific part of the code, but for global questions about your code base.